All right, how's it going, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Forward Thinking Founders, where we talk to founders about their visions for the future, how they see the world progressing, and how the two collide. Today, I'm very excited to be talking to Adam Cohen Hillel, who's the co-founder and CEO of Dafdef. Welcome to the show. How's it going?
Yeah, thank you for having me. And things are great. It's been a crazy few weeks after we launched the AI key, but going great.
Yeah, I can only imagine how crazy it's been. I know about you from your launch. Like I think I saw it on X or Twitter, and when I was looking into it, my mind was kind of blown. So let's just kind of go into it. What is DAFDEF, or what is AI Key? Like walk through what are you working on here?
Yeah, so in practice, we are building a small AI device that you plug into your phone, and it enables a remote AI to perform actions across your entire phone, basically doing computer use for iOS. And by doing that, we are able to create an agent, an assistant that can complete tasks for you without any limitation regarding like the Apple sandboxes. We can literally do things across messages, emails, calendar, everything.
So this is pretty crazy, right? Because I'm a user of AI, right? And I haven't gotten very into the computer use, but I do use a little bit of like the what's the open AI, like the deep research, I think. And then then it goes around the web and gets some info and gets back to me. But to think that I can just plug a little thing into my phone and it does what I want is kind of wild. So let's dive into it. So it's literally just a little device that you put in. Like, can you're okay? So it's right there. So yours is on. So once you put that in, how do you tell the device, or I guess the agent, if you call it that, what to do? What happens after it's plugged in?
So you can actually speak with it. So it is voice oriented, and you can speak with it, and you can also exist with it on the phone. So a lot of people are talking about how like what is the next user interface of with AI other than text and chat, and then everyone obviously going to voice, which is like the obvious next step, which is true. We do voice, but other part that we see about us interacting with AI is also sharing the same screen with them. And by that I mean, for example, if I do something with the AI and I speak with it, but then I click around as a human, as the user, uh, this also affects what the AI is seeing and the context that the AI is getting. So you can interact with it by speaking to it, and also just by like clicking around. Um, and yeah, after you speak with it, you can either tell it to do a long-running tasks. For example, hey, open Gmail, check the latest email from Matt, and see if I forgot to follow up with them, or like reschedule the call that we have. But also you can do like short running tasks where you exist with AI on the phone, and by that you can say, hey, I wrote this draft. Can you quickly write it better? Or can you pull up the last time I spoke with Matt and update this email in a way that kind of like reference our last call? So yeah.
This is wild. So I have one additional question. Of course, many more questions. I don't want you to give away any like secret sauce or anything. So if it's going into that, like feel free to, you don't have to answer. But like, how do you develop your own? Like, so I'm not very technical. I'm a people guy. I like to interview founders and learn from them and stuff. So I'm trying to wrap my head around how this works. So you have this device, you plug it into the phone. Does the device work? Like, do you have your own model? Do you work with OpenAI or Anthropic? Like, how does that work if I want to control what model is on my phone, or is it your own model?
Yeah, so we are using a bunch of models for different tasks. For the computer use models specifically, the task of computer use, where basically a computer use is like you bring in a screenshot and an additional context and a task, and then based on that state, the model decide where to click or what to do, like swiping, clicking, and typing. And computer use models are still fairly new. It really feels like the early days of GPT-2 and 3. Like it's here. It's not entirely here. It's been used for niche use cases. Like the models are not like the best. And so most of the efforts that are currently being put into computer use is actually for computers. And so if you try to do computer use for mobile devices with existing proprietary models of like from Anthropic and OpenAI, it's actually not that good because they are training them on like larger computer screenshots. So for computer use, we are actually having our own small models that we are fine tuning based on like existing open source stuff. Quen is our most used one. But we are using OpenAI real time. We're switching between OpenAI real time and Gemini. Yeah.
So I have to ask, like, it feels after I saw this on X, I'm like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. But how the hell do you get here? Like, how'd you get the idea, and then how'd you know how to build it? Walk me through. Where did this idea come from, and when did you have it? How long did it take to execute? And yeah, walk me through the background.
Yeah, so a lot of people say like, "What? This is a weird kind of like step." But like, if you think about the thinking process, it actually makes sense. So I built a project called Suna, which is one of the biggest open source competitors to Manos, which is a browser use. In that building that product, I had a lot of learnings regarding like how to build this technology for consumers, because Manos and Suna are really, really cool. They are kind of like the most kind of like use cases for computer use models or browser use models. But the difference is they are working on their own separate sandbox. Each one of these agents have their own computer that they are controlling. But from seeing how people use it, like one insight that I got was like, okay, it's really cool, but it's actually even cooler if the agent is using the user's computer and not a separate computer. That's one. And two, we spend most of our times on our phones. How can you bring it to mobile? So going backwards, of like, okay, computer use is really cool, but it's much cooler if it's on the user environment and not a separate environment. That will be much better. And then the environment that the user is spending most of his time on is on mobile. Okay, how we can do it for mobile? And then we had different approaches. So early on we said, okay, let's try to build a browser, because a browser is purely software that we can have the widest touch points between the user and their digital existence. You can open email from your browser, you can open like Instagram and Twitter from your browser. So we built that, but it still felt very, very limiting, because we wanted to access to the messages and calendar and WhatsApp and all of those things, and we realized we cannot exist within the browser. We had to go out, and then the only way to do it on iOS is this is how the insight for the small device came about, essentially.
That makes sense. That's like, yeah, I guess the influencers on Twitter would say that's first principles thinking, but it is, right? You're like going through the steps to figure out what needs to get built. All right, so let's dive into like what you can actually do with this. So I'm going to throw out a scenario and let me know if it's possible or if the variations are possible. So like, let's say I have this, it's in my phone, it's right next to me. I say, hey, thing, I don't know, do I name it? Or like, what do I call it something, or how does it know when I'm talking to it?
Yeah, so you just say, "Hey Dafdef," and
Okay.
if it's running, then it will hear you. It can also speak back, but right now the speaking back is muted. But yeah.
Yep. Okay, so hey Dafdef, can you I haven't checked LinkedIn in the last few hours, and I know I made a post a few hours ago. Can you check LinkedIn and tell me if there are any interesting comments on it? That's just like one just random example. Can it do that?
Yeah. It will literally just open LinkedIn, go to probably, again, like it is not deterministic. So you will probably open LinkedIn, we'll search for we'll click on your profile, search for latest post, and then go through the comments. But you can even take it one step further and tell it reply to the most interesting comments, and it should be able to do that too. We are working on personalizing it, so it will know how you write and what's your interest and what's your background. So one of the onboarding flows is like you providing all of your information, like you providing your LinkedIn and X data, and then we kind of like build this persona of how you interact with the digital realm. But yeah, it definitely can do that.
So I guess this leads me a question on, is this designed to always be in the phone, or should I take it out when I'm not using it? And what I'm kind of getting at is, I have other stuff in my phone. I have notes. I have like a lot. I mean, it's my phone. It's my life. Like, how do I know that the thing isn't like infiltrating my life? Like, how do you think about privacy, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, we're thinking all about privacy. It's actually you in your introduction, you were talking about how founders see in the future and like what the future they want to build. So I personally really care about privacy and building for a future where we are self-sovereign. We are owning our data, owning our agents, especially in a world where agents are big in AI, are big part of the economy, and even big part of human communication. Like they will interact on our behalf, whether on LinkedIn or other spaces. So we do think about this a lot. And right now, like the AI is in the cloud, but we are actually working on small models that can run on your phones, even the computer use modules. Like we playing together, hopefully soon. But in the shorter term, like you can always unplug it, and it is physically losing control. So that there is no way for it to keep making actions if it is unplugged. That's one. Two. What we are using it for ourselves, for example, I have my notes and I don't want it to open my notes, so I actually have a lock on my notes. So if it trying to open it doesn't try to open the notes, because we also have like instructions. But even if it tries to, it needs to put a password that it does not have. So you can kind of like lock even within the phone, lock specific areas. But ideally, you should own the data, own the model, running locally, but we want to do the frontier stuff, so it's really hard to achieve it right now.
Yeah, that makes sense. So, what are some? Well, I guess I should have asked in the beginning. Is this live? Like, could I buy? Could I use one of these now? Are you in production? Like, where are you in the realm of shipping this?
Yeah, so we have prototypes. So we have like around like a few dozen prototypes that we produce internally, and we keep building the agents. Like the hardware is the easy part, actually. The hardware is almost insignificant. The difficulty is the models and the agent and the memory, all of that. We're aiming to ship the first unit in a few months. Like for the first batch of orders, you can pre-order it right now. The first batch is closed, so you will get it in the second batch. But before that, we're actually working on a pure software version that will be out much sooner, like literally next month. That we'll be able to observe and interact with you on limited areas, but not be able to actually perform full agentic takeover.
Yeah, that makes sense. So how do you? Again, you don't have to share any secret sauce if you don't want to, of course. How do you? Like, I think memory is a thing, right? Like, I'm actually an investor in a company called Super Memory. They do like this context. They allow you to create context across multiple apps, and then I know there's like the figuring out how to run smaller models on various devices for security and privacy reasons. And there's a lot of companies that are trying to figure all this stuff out. I mean, Super Memory is surely not the only company doing what they're doing. There's plenty of companies in that space, plenty of companies in the kind of like sovereign kind of like privacy space. How do you know that what the way that you're developing it is the right way? And like, if something new comes out, how do you know whether to stick to what you were doing? Do you move to the new thing? It's such a fast moving industry. Of course, there's no right answers here, but how do you just think about it and using the right stuff while building this out?
I guess first of all, there is the first facing industry and all of that, and new stuff coming out. There is obviously the trade-off between like more local and private versus the frontier in the cloud and big. I think my philosophy is actually to eventually just bring this decision to the user rather than for me as a product provider. But yeah, we as for industry, we're just trying new things immediately. We're reading the latest papers. We are trying to replicate, especially in the space of computer use and all of that. It's super early. I don't sleep too much, so just because everything is happening all the time. But it's part of building a startup. You just need to be on the latest, trying to see how you can integrate it into your company if it's relevant. There is also a lot of noise that is irrelevant. So for example, right now there are new exciting stuff that are happening in the AI foundation model space that I find super fascinating, but one branch I'm completely ignoring because it will be a distraction. For example, we are focusing on computer use, agents that use digital interfaces like a human does, which is one side. But the other side is all the foundation models of world models and 3D movies, all of this area that it's really cool. But if we will focus on that will be a mistake because it's not entirely related to our company.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense, and it's such a fast-moving industry. You got to stay focused on what you're working on, or else you'll just be distracted 24/7. I want to go a little bit more into your background. Like, I feel like this is not a type of product that you can just one day think that you want to start and then you just get it done. You mentioned you were working on a competitor to Manus. I'm not that familiar with all. Like, I know the big ones. Like, I know Anthropic. I know, I know OpenAI. I know a few others. But like, walk me through. Like, yeah, what were you doing before, and what maybe prompted you to start working on this? Because it's such an interesting space that you're in.
Yeah. So for what we kind of do with the company, I don't think there are many people out there that have an intersected background to do what we're doing. Whether it is the small hardware components, I was previously working on OMI, the AI wearable device. I built actually the first version of it that's called Adeus, which is like a big open source project. Same with Suna, like a massive open source project for like computer use, browser use, productization of browser use environments, and consumer. So a bit about my background. I grew up in Israel. I had a mobile games company targeting the Israeli audience, which was one of the first and biggest mobile games companies to do that for this specific audience. 1.5 million downloads, big thing at the time. I spent most of my time after those, like from 18 to 22, doing cybersecurity. I was in the military doing cybersecurity, and then I was part of a company called Keto Security. I'm bearish in cybersecurity right now. I think there are much more exciting things to work on, but that's a big part of my background. And basically, from 2022 until now, what was interesting to me the most was the intersection of consumer, AI hardware, all of the AI hardware companies are actually coming from an issue with Apple, that they are closing their systems so much that create something new and valuable for the AI era, you need to basically have like a wearable that is always on listening, because you cannot do it with a phone or with a watch. This device to be able to perform computer use. So I've been in that space adjacent, working on projects, working on relevant technologies, reading, learning. So it makes a lot of sense, and I'm very, very curious in the approach of computer use, because if you think about the perfect user experience with AI, is having models that are able to use the digital interface like you as a human do, and not a separate one. So right now you're talking about deep research, right? Deep research is super cool. Like, you give it a task and then go and like start investigating and reading all of these articles and whatnot, which is valuable and important and a great product. But for me, if I want to experience this process with the AI, I cannot, because like we're using a completely different type of interfaces. I as a human do not consume through APIs and all of that. And I think it's somewhat similar to the approach that it's not entirely great comparison, but like all of the humanoid robots. And the reason humanoid robots are relevant is because we designed the physical world for humans, and then having a humanoid robot is the best way to go to a robot that is general. So similar in computer use. There is still a lot of technical challenges to go through, but we are on that path.
Yeah, that makes sense. You saying that about humanoid robots makes me think actually a bit about self-driving cars, and I'm actually friends with the founder CEO of Cul-de-sac, Ryan Johnson. Cul-de-sac. Are you familiar with Cul-de-sac by chance?
No.
So it's essentially it's a carless. It's like a company that produces carless cities. So they created their first city in Tempe. They're backed by Kosla and Alexis Ohanian. It's like a venture-backed city. It's like kind of fun, and their idea is like we're going to be soon living in a post-car society, a post-car ownership society. And he started this, Ryan, back in 2018. So it was like very early for the times. But now, as we see Waymos and Teslas and these various companies doing their thing, he's very it's like making sense. So I don't know. It kind of came up. I do have one slight tangent question. I am friendly with I guess like it's like internet friendly with both the founders of OMI and the founder of Friend. Like, is that like I'm just curious, like, how do you how do you differentiate yourself if you're building a product like that? Like from your experience in this space, working with some hardware projects, etc. Like, what do you think the characteristics are going to be of the company that like wins that space, or is it just so early that like it's impossible to know the answer to that question?
Yeah. Well, I'm friendly with both of them in real life, so that they're both great people, and I'm happy to see that they more or less went through the competition and now they each taking the company to a different direction that makes more sense for their personality and for their interest. Early on, there was a competition, and now obviously Avi took it to a more companion and friendly kind of like product. Nick is taking it more towards the utility and productivity, and he was mostly curious about that anyway. So yeah, regarding like I don't see me competing with them right now. Like don't see that directly competing. Obviously, there are some intersected areas of AI, hardware, and all of that. I personally don't care too much about competition. For sure, not early on. There are some competition. Obviously, there are people trying to build computer use for iOS and all of that. But from my experience, to be honest, similar to what happened with the AI wearable space, there were many people who came early on. Most of them disappeared into insignificant, to the void, just because this is how market works.
Yep.
There are few people who are still running. Each one of them took a slightly different direction, so they are not entirely competing. There are people who are competing, and it's relevant. But at least how it happened in that market, there is room for winners, for a few winners. With that being said, I don't think it's in every case like that. I think there are some markets that there is a place for one winner, or like maybe only two winners. But it should be irrelevant at least early on because you cannot know.
Definitely. Yeah, that makes sense. It's just fascinating. Like, I live in Phoenix, but I also live online, right? I'm like very plugged into all things what's going on just through X and Twitter and just like this podcast. So it's just kind of fun to have one foot in Phoenix and one foot in the Valley. What are some just a couple more questions, then we can wrap it up. Like, once this is shipped and it's in consumers' hands, what are some fun use cases you hope people use with it, or what are some ideas that you hope people do with it?
Yeah, so I mean, we have a bunch of interests that kind of pulling us to different directions. What I'm most interested right now in the immediate future is actually this AI entity that exists with you in the digital interface. So actually, not the full agentic takeover. I don't not an AI that you give it a task and it's going to run for like two days now, like 2 hours or whatnot. But more of like you connected to your phone and you wanted to do something, either you are like driving or cooking or even just actually holding the device, but want a faster interface to an AI instead of right now the way people use AI on their phones, they will literally either take a screenshot or copy paste and jump between apps. That's we have such great devices that we can move much faster, do much more. So specific use cases from drafting emails to support when you messaging. One of the specific things I'm really excited about is every night I want it to go over my WhatsApp messages and tell me if I forgot to answer someone or I need to follow up, because especially after the lunch I got literally hundreds of messages. I'm still getting quite a few messages every single day, and sometimes I forget or I open and it's on red and then I never go back to it. So small tasks like that where the stakes are low, but the productivity is high. Yeah, I can dive into more use cases, but that's more or less.
When I first saw this, I for some stupid reason thought about, I could buy 10 iPhones and plug one of these into all of them and I can have them do something interesting. But I don't have a concrete idea. Do you think that this creates an opportunity to do something with more iPhones? If so, is that even, do we want that? Would that be an ideal use for this? So what's your opinion on just lots of phones, lots of AI keys doing a synergistic task?
Yeah, I mean, yes, the first kind of jump is all which we are not actively taking, by the way, but just as an example, is that all the bot farms, warm up TikTok accounts, because the way most like there are bot phones that exist already, but the way most of them work is by connecting the phone into a computer, and then the computer sends the commands like through a developer portal into like the iPhones, and you can actually detect that to be a bot. It requires a lot of work, but you can still detect it. Without here, you can probably like have a much better version of that. We're not actively looking after that, but that would be an interesting use case. Yeah. By the way, another use case, a lot of people like wanted it to be a dating assistant, whether it is to swipe for you on one of the first demos that we showed. We haven't uploaded to YouTube yet or X, but I'm basically asking it to find me a Jewish wife on Hinge, and then go about and start swiping Hinge. And if it's so funny, if it says Jewish or Hebrew in the language that they speak, you like swipe, and if not, it's not. Yeah.
I have an idea. I literally haven't thought about this. I've thought about this for about 2 seconds. But what if there was a dating thing where you put two people you thought were compatible? Like I know two people, they don't know each other. I put them in a group chat with this phone with this AI essentially, and then the AI is just hanging out. But then when they don't know what to talk about, or the chat is kind of getting dry, the AI chimes in and they're like, "Hey, like you know, Jennifer, you love sushi. Like, do you like sushi, John?" Like, I don't know. Just like it's kind of a silly example, but but that's like how. Often that's how it works with humans. Like you have two people you want them to meet, you figure out what the similarities are, and you mend it. Like I do think this could unlock so many. I don't know if it's like business models or products, but it'll unlock something, you know?
Yeah, I mean that's interesting. In this case, I would say that the if you go about doing that, there is probably a more effective way of building that company by creating like a chatbot that is directly integrating with iMessage or WhatsApp. But in our case, I would say you can connect it into your phone as a guy or as a girl who's talking to someone, and you can literally speak to them like, "Hey, I've been talking to this girl for like 2 days now, and actually trying to revive the conversation. I'm not sure what to do." And then it can, because it exists with you on the phone, it can say like, "Hey, maybe message that, or maybe do that," and that. So I can see that happening.
Do you know the company Delphi?
Yeah.
This like I wonder if I could, if you know, I'm a scout. I like do VC stuff, so people hit me up all the time. They want me to, they want me to help them and stuff. I wonder if I could use this for my inbound messages, and like and it kind of knows me, it has context on me. So when someone says something, it like knows how to reply. But that person thinks it's coming from me, which it is. It's just I'm getting some help. There's a lot of fun things you can do with this. Where do you see?
100%,
Yeah,
100%. Like it can definitely do that. That's a very interesting use case. Like again, like we are in this time of society where like it's hard because like it is happening. You need to find a way to build trust, both in the company and in these systems, and kind of like a new social contract to exist here. Because I don't know, like a year ago, I had a friend who connected his Twitter account to an AI bot company, and it was really, really good. That I was living with him in the same house, and we got into an argument on Twitter, like literally on Twitter, and then I came home in the evening like, "Bro, what the fuck? Like, are you stupid? Like, what? Why?" Like, he was basically arguing with me on Twitter that one of the houses that we visit was in Berkeley, and I was like, "No, it's not in Berkeley. It's in SF. What are you talking about?" And then he was like, I came to the house, and I was like, "What?" And he was like, "What are you talking about?" And then I showed him the conversation, and I was like, "Oh, it's my bot." And I was so pissed because like I'm fine to talk with your bot. It was actually very entertaining, but I want to know it's a bot, you know.
yeah.
So we still want to figure this out, but the capabilities are definitely possible.
Definitely. Where do you see the future here? If you were to look out, I'm not even going to say 5-10 years because that's a lifetime essentially when it comes to this stuff. But if you look out to the next 2 stages of the company, where do you think this goes?
Yeah. We want to build a very big consumer brand when it comes to personal AI, personal assistant on your phone. I think there are many people looking at this space. There are big companies that should do this space, but we believe that we can move the fastest, build a brand as an underdog, and I think there is a gap in the market that currently no one is addressing when it comes to personal, like that you feel not only that you feel that it speaks like to you, but only that you feel also that you feel that it is yours. You know, like that no one can shut it down for you in 2 months. That no one can like use this data against you. So that's why also why we really care about privacy and like being able to unplug and gain control. Like all of these things are very intentional.
Yep.
And we see this as a big opportunity for the next year or 2 years. And obviously, on the technical level, we are creating capabilities that are currently not available anywhere else, are not available not by Apple, whether it is the hardware device, the models that are able to do those things. And there is still a lot to do. We are still in this early stage of computer use, and yeah.
Are you worried at all for the future where phones like may not exist? Like maybe in 10 years it's just glasses, maybe not. Like I don't know. How do you think about the evolution of actual hardware devices that we use?
Yeah. So again, I've been in this space for some time, so I do think about this a lot. I actually do think that at least in the short term I mean like let's say 4 years, when we maybe transitioning into the glasses era, like Zach is putting a lot of money and effort into that. There's actually a lot of synergy between the key and the glasses, because with the key connected to a phone and to the glasses, you can actually perform actions on your phone from your glasses. So instead of Meta trying to build all of this functionality from the ground up for their glasses, we can actually just build like like an integration that you can control your phone and whatnot. Long term, I do think phones will disappear, but I think it's longer term. I think it's so ingrained into society that it will be really hard to break. And I know internally as well that like other big players in the space, like OpenAI, they are not trying to create something that replaces, but actually to create something that adjacent to their phones to do this transition slowly.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, so you mentioned that these are going to be out soon. The first batch is already fulfilled, or it's already ordered. Second batch is next. How much does this cost? Or I guess like the real question is like, how can someone get their hands on one of these, and what's the timeline for that?
Yeah, so it costs $79 that you can pre-order right now, and we will obviously update how the first batch timeline goes and second batch timeline goes. The people who order the pre-orders will also get early access to the pure software, to the pure like mobile app that will be variable without the hardware too. And hopefully that version will be like again in a month. But the hardware device itself for batch 2 will probably be early next year.
Cool.
And batch 1 is like end of this year.
So if someone wanted to learn more, like what's your website? Do you have an email list? Do you have like social media? Like where can someone learn more about what you're doing?
Twitter, mostly on Twitter. I'm Adam Cohen Hillel, so AdamCohenHillel. Feel free to follow, message. If you don't message me like a bot, there is almost 100% chance I will reply to you. Whether you have questions about the product and anything else. And there is also a waitlist on the website at dafdef.com.
And my last question. Dafdef. What is it? What does it mean? What does it stand for? What does it mean?
Do you know? Do you ask me because
I don't know. I don't know. Yeah.
Okay, so basically Dafdef means browse in Hebrew.
Okay.
Dafdefan is a browser in Hebrew. We are thinking many Americans find it very, very difficult to pronounce, and it's either a good thing because when you write Dafdef right now on Google, we are the first one to show up, and we also have the .com domain and .ai domains. But maybe we need to rebrand. We'll see.
What about like just DAF? Like I mean, it's just 3 letters. I mean, I'm sure the domain's not available. I don't know, but that's a cool name. I like the origin of that name. Well, thank you so much for coming on to the Forward Thinking Founders podcast. This is crazy stuff. You're living in the future, but you're bringing it all to us in the present. And I'll look forward to following along. And I'm definitely going to get one of these.
Yeah, thank you for having me. And when you're next in the Bay, let me know, and I'm happy to show you a demo too.
Sounds good.